Hey everyone, today I want to show you a finished project for once and all the steps about how I got there. This is the instrumentation panel for my airbag controls. I built it into an overhead console. Check it out. There it is, right at the top. Nice oval shape, kind of built in, and custom aluminum faceplate that I've machined out or made out by hand, shaped it all by hand. So we'll follow along and I'll show you all the steps of how I came from an idea all the way to this. Check it out. And there's my first template. I did just start by tracing that metal bracket, but what I didn't realize was these switches in the bracket are not centered to the gauges. They're actually offset up a little bit. And so I experimented to see what would it be like if I just offset the other switch in the other direction, the same amount. And I thought it might look okay, but it doesn't. It's got a little bit different gapping on the top one versus this one, just by the fact that it's further out to the side. But the neat thing it would have done is indicate which one is the front tire, which one is the rear on both. And then my elliptical shape, I'm not 100% happy with that. It feels a little flat along these parts right here. So I am going to work on getting that worked out a little bit. And there you go, template number 2. I got it all lined up a whole lot better in terms of the center line on the gauges, or the switches with the gauges. I was able to make this a little bit more narrow, and this arch on the elliptical shape is significantly better. You can see my my holes are where I'll put my mounting screws, and they'll mount through into a steel bracket with a bunch of nutserts, not a bunch, but with 4 nutserts on the backside. That's what I can use to weld the steel into the pickup wherever I need to, and the sheet metal work around it. But just to give you a sense, this is the piece that I'm going to cut it out of, the piece of aluminum. It's got a nice vinyl backing or protective backing on that side. I ran it through my shear, and I had a little bit of bowing, but I got it flattened out for the most part. But to give you a sense of, it's about that same thickness. It's a little bit less than 1/8 inch, just a little bit. But that's 1/8 inch is what I use on these particle board templates. So anyway, next thing, you'll see this trimmed out into the masonite template. And see the gauges in there, and once I feel comfortable with all that, I will trim it out of that. Well, I changed my mind on a couple of things, but I did get this next template cut out. I do love the oval again. I did get some good feedback from my brother Ryan when he saw this, that he had very much enjoyed the offset switches, and so I did do a measurement to make sure that it's the same 5/16 here and there, and ultimately I think I do have it validated that's going to work well. So you can see my adjustment of just exactly how much up it moves that switch, not a ton, but it keeps that equal amount of spacing all the way around. And then the other change was that that first piece of aluminum, I didn't get the bow out. You know what? I'm just going to start with another one that wasn't cut with my shear. I cut it off with a cutoff wheel. That way it's nice and flat. But ultimately, this is where I'm at, is I've got this aluminum carved out, and I'm going to leave that backing protection layer over the piece that's going to ultimately show through as the backing behind the gauges. And so you can see the kind of nice brushed aluminum look that it comes with. And we'll see if I can maintain as much of that as possible by cutting, or while cutting. But yeah, you'll see what it looks like when I trim it out in just a sec. And with a blink of my eye, there it is, all trimmed out. I did manage to salvage most of that brushed aluminum finish. A few little scratches here and there. You can see it's kind of rough still, but it is trimmed out. I may get a file and gently chamfer some of these top edges and bottom edges so nothing cuts my fingers. But up next, you'll see what it looks like with the gauges and switches in. And poof, there's all the gauges and the switches. Came out pretty good. I like the brush finish is pretty decent, and if it gets scratched up along the way, I can probably sand it out and make a new finish on there pretty easily. But you can see the pilot holes that I've started for where the bolting, the bolts that hold it down, or the little machine thread bolts will go once I get that hardware kind of lined up. Next, I've got to build the steel framework that that this entire instrument panel mounts to, and it'll be a mild steel 14 gauge plate that's going to be back behind this with the nutserts in there. So we'll see that. And poof, there it is. And magic. I didn't spend hours and hours and hours at all. But here it is, the steel frame. And you can see I've got everything covered with masking tape to try to protect that surface. Alignment is really pretty good. There's a little bit of fine tuning on some of this shape to match the same oval shape of the faceplate. But I want to do that after I've welded in the brackets that you'll see here in a second. Since those are going to be bolted, it's going to be very stationary, and then I can be the final alignment between these two pieces whenever the nutsert on the back has been welded in place. So I'll show you that in a second. But anyway, pull that off, and you see the construction is that I've got this 14 gauge plate for the main, but I drilled out a hole big enough for that nutsert to kind of come up, and I've got 4 of them. And each one of them has been mounted into a piece of 16 gauge steel that I had, and I'm going to TIG weld all of that into place. I did test out my TIG welder for the first time in far too long, many years, and I finally got the thing working thanks to some setting recommendations from ChatGPT. That give you a little sneak peek. Fine level of TIG control. Actually, that's the side that I did the bead on. So, I mean, considering haven't done this in 15 years, that's not too bad for the first run. And then I did another one right here. So, anyway, I'll do that once I get the hardware. I'll get the screws that will actually be used to mount this faceplate to it. And I'll show you what that looks like as a finished piece here in just a little bit. Alright, got it ready to start welding in. I want to show you this jig that I ended up making. So I've got it mounted to a piece of 1x4. So that when I put it upside down like this and I start welding these in, it should be pretty darn close aligned to the faceplate on the other side. I did have to do a whole bunch of attempts to get this drilled correctly, so it's got a little bit of tolerances that we'll see how well it fits after the welding is done. Once I remove this this piece of wood, it should align pretty darn close, I think. But give you an example of what it looks like, just those tiny little nutserts. So these are 4mm threaded nutserts with some 16 gauge plate that I'm going to tack weld in with a TIG welder here in a second. Once I get that done, I'll show you what it looks like all reassembled and potentially mocked up in the cab. And boom, there she is, all done. Everything's welded in and mounted. Had a little bit of an adjustment on one hole over here. Otherwise, everything went straight down like I expected it to. Where the wood served as a clamping and kind of a squaring thing that could burn with the weld, as opposed to simply using the faceplate, the aluminum faceplate directly here. The heat from that would have distorted everything so bad. So the wood was a buffer, but it burnt and it smelt the whole place up. Whether it's effective or not, who knows? But anyway, I wanted to show you it's getting ready to mount up, and what I'm going to do is weld these bars. I'll have 4 of them going in a few different directions onto the back of the plate here, and then the other end to the top panel above the windshield on the inside of the cab. And then it'll be mounted and roughed in and ready to go. I also kind of wanted to show the TIG welding results. I got that one covered up with tape, but for the most part, not too bad. I did have one spot that I kind of burnt through, didn't have it set right, and I had to clean it up a little bit. It's probably this one. Yeah, I had to clean it up a little bit. And then I had a little bit of burn through on the front side that I had to clean up with a MIG weld. But anyway, the point is, it's always got a little bit of work to be done. So next up, you will see what it looks like roughed in completely. That's a good move. Into the cab of the pickup. See that coming up? And there she is, mounted into the cab. Got it 4 support bars across there, 2 little ones right here in the middle, and it's pretty solid. I might need to do some more reinforcement, but this is perfect for now. Just to be able to get this thing up and running, and I'll do final sheet metal around it at some point. But I want to show you what it looks like. This is the driver's seat from right here, and you can see a bunch of the curves and the existing oval theme for all the instrumentation. And then just right up here, it's unobstructive. It's not, you don't see it from outside because here's the bottom of that little header panel. These parts won't be there. That's the hood that is actually literally on the roof of the pickup right now. But anyway, so you can't see it. It's not going to obstruct. I'll still have enough room to mount a little rear view mirror either onto the panel itself or onto the glass. And I'll have nice, quick, easy access to be able to view the airbag settings. So one more project down. Now I just got to get on to making the whole thing run. No, nothing major.